What's going on, everyone? It's Bowles, and welcome back to another episode of the Weekend Forecast. So we're into the second week of the buys. This is probably going to be the toughest week for a lot of coaches out there. So got a few things to get through with these 6 games, obviously, as well, with the teams coming out in about 18 minutes' time. That'll be quite important, I think, for a lot of people's trades. Obviously, if Jacob Ware gets named, hopefully Braden Preuss gets named as well, and guys like that. But anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. If you are new around here, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. We're only 4 away now from 450 subscribers. So if you help me get to that milestone, it'd be very much appreciated. And then we're near 500 as well. And then also leave a like on the video if you are enjoying the content. So round 13, we had the one game last night. So I'll quickly just recap over what happened last night. And then we will... beautiful. Thank you, Nathan Obermuller. So Obermuller, Nathan, good stuff, mate. Shout out to the Hat Chat boys as well. Thank you very much, Nathan, for that. Appreciate you very much. Let's get stuck into the game that happened last night, the Richmond and Port Adelaide. Nathan, long live Mitch Owens. Yes. Very, very happy that he got named into the team. And because I jumped on him last week like a lot of people did. And it wouldn't have been great if he didn't get named. So it was good to see him get named. And hopefully we get another one in Jacob Ware getting named. Then that'll be quite important for people if they didn't get Owens, go Owens and Jacob Ware or something like that. So let's see what happens with that. But let's get stuck into hang on, actually, Moonboy Merritt to Barn this week, thinking him over Jelly or Sinclair. That's the tough thing I've got. Actually, I'm going to put the poll up right now. This is I was going to do this later, but I'm going to do it now while I think of it, right? I'm interested to see what your thoughts are. This is a little bit what I'm looking at trades, right? Would you be picking as my second premium bringing this one, going Doherty as one? Would you be going Zach Merritt or Jack Sinclair? That's the question I have for everyone. I'm just interested to see what people think. Interested to see what people would go if they had the choice, and interested to see what they think that I should potentially do with my trade. So there it is. There's a poll up there. Make sure you go and vote on that. Interested to see how you guys vote with that. And then I can't see James's thing here. It says, thinking the same, Moon Boy, the extra cash will allow me to fix an underperforming premium next week. Yeah, that's the thing I'm considering. So, yeah, interested to see what you guys' thoughts are. So, anyway, let's get straight into the Richmond Port Adelaide game. So, not actually too much fantasy-wise to come out of that. So, Carl Amon was a high scorer for the game with 122. More a draft thing if you've got him, you'd be pretty happy with that score. But if you were one of the 0.6% of coaches that do own him in Classic, you'd be pretty happy with that start of the round. So, that's good for you there. Nick Vlostone with a 90. Solid for Richmond. He's not owned by a lot. Only 3.5% of coaches have got him in Classic. He was a bit underpriced, but I'm not a huge fan. He hasn't had that scoring power that I thought maybe with Jaden Short going to midfield and then resting forward. I thought maybe Vlostone would be a bit more in the hundreds, low hundreds, maybe high 90s, but he hasn't really done that. So I don't really think he's too much of an option. But if you've got him, you'd be decent enough happy with a 90. Connor Rosie, 89, bit similar to Vlostone. It was actually quite a low-scoring fantasy game. So with an 89 from Rosie, looked a lot better than Butters. So if you had him over Butters or you had both, you'd obviously be a lot happier with Rosie than Butters. But they're not going to be top 6 forwards. So at some point, you're going to want to move both of them on. But yeah, Rosie's not the worst scorer in the world. Terminating Curvis just keeps getting it done. I just couldn't bring him in with sharing the role with Soldo. I want my top 2 rucks being solo rucks. It's like a Speaker No, a Gorn, a Darcy, Darcy now that Meeks dropped, someone like that I want in my top 2 rucks and not guys sharing the role. But then Curtis keeps getting done in with Soldo, so kudos to him there. Jaden Short, 86. So that's now 5 of his last 6 games have been, only one of his last 5 games have been over 100, and that was the 113 against Essendon. The other score, which was on the 6th game, was against the West Coast. So since he's moved in the midfield, only 200s there, and they're both against easy opposition. He scored a lot of 80s and 90s. So is he going to be a top 6 defender? That's the question, because I'm not 100% sure if he will now, because of you've got so many defenders now scoring well. You've already got like 5 scorers that are averaging essentially around 100, right? So you've already got Doherty, Crisp, Hewett, Sinclair, Tom Stewart are all averaging over 100. So you'd imagine that those 4, right there are probably going to be better than Short the way it's looking. Then you've got Tom Stewart, who you could say you could pick over Short. You got Dawson, Houston's been really consistent. He's proved me wrong, even though I couldn't select him, but he's proved me wrong. Sicily's been great. And then you've got guys like Whitfield and Aaron Hall coming back, where if they get those roles and they stay fit for the rest of the year, then they potentially could push up. Then you also got the guys like Zorko or like even like a Bailey Dale or something like that, or a Witherden that have been quite good as well. But Short's not that lot for a top 6. You probably got him as the number 6 now, but he's probably on a short leash. So just something to sort of keep an eye on. I wouldn't be bringing him in until I see something, but I certainly wouldn't be trading him out yet. So just something to keep an eye on there. Dan Houston, as I just mentioned before, 84, just consistent. This is his lowest score since round 4. What was it? Only one score. Sorry, this is his second lowest score since round 4. Sorry, with an 84. So he's been really good since then. So he just keeps getting done. I wouldn't pick him. I think he's still too risky, but he's been pretty good. So he would be in the mix for sure. He'd be sort of in the mix for that top 10 sort of position. Ollie Wines, 72. That's disappointing. I know a few people did jump on him this week, obviously coming off his bye. 6% of coaches do own him. 72 this week, got an 86 the week before his bye against the Bombers. Obviously, the heart thing has sort of slowed down this season a bit. So is that still potentially an issue? I hope not. I hope that he's all healthy, but that's just something to remember. But yeah, I don't know if he's going to be an option, especially when you've got guys like Merritt and even Sinclair and Hewett around the same price as well, and they're going to be top 6 defenders. And then you've got like a heap of other guys around that price that, yeah, I just think you'd feel safer picking over Wines. So unfortunately, I just think Wines isn't going to be an option now for us until we see something. Judson Clark, so he was impressive on debut with a 64. First 2 kicks, 2 goals. That's obviously what you want. But yeah, I think the way he's going, I think he could hold his spot in the team at least next week. I think he played well enough to be in the team. So, and that mid-forward flexibility as well is going to be quite important. So he's he'll be about 260, 255, somewhere around there. So I think he's not a bad option to look at, especially next week if you didn't jump on him, because I know a few people did jump on him. And he looked good. So let's say about that. And then Zach Butters, 55. Disappointing night for anyone that owned him. Poor again. I know he copped that big hit late, but he still wasn't scoring great before that. He was still on track for about a 70. So, yeah, I think when these buys are done, I think we just have to cut ties. I could even hang on. Anyway, apparently I'm being told to stop talking so loud, apparently, which I'm not talking so loud. But yeah, anyway, yeah, bloody family, tell you what. But yeah, so yeah, Zach Butters, I think we can move on at some point. Dusty Martin, 43. That probably crossed him off as an option now. He's obviously very cheap, but I think the 43, that sort of just signals that that's probably done for the year for him. Unless you can't get a rookie up to literally anybody else, and you might be able to consider him. So there you go. So that's the preview from last night. So actually, the phone dropped there. How's the poll going? Oh, hang on. Why did that turn the brightness off? So Merritt from 6 votes. So Merritt 67%, Sinclair 33%. Okay, so people are actually choosing Merritt over Sinclair. Okay. I just think maybe with Sinclair being a guaranteed sort of top sort of 6-8 defender, I thought maybe a few people might go on, but that's fair enough because that's what I'm looking at. I don't know if I'm going to go Merritt or Sinclair. That's certainly something I've got to think about. If I get Sinclair, I get to save a trade in case anything bad happens. That's just something to keep an eye on. So let's get into our game previews. So Essendon versus Carlton as well. And also, if you are watching live, if you've got any questions, make sure you leave them in the live chat. If you've got any discussion as well, leave it in the live chat, and we'll get to all those once I've previewed these 5 games. And then also, obviously, we'll pause when it gets to 4:30 my time at 5 o'clock for all you guys, and we'll check the final team, see if guys like Bruce and even Jacob wearing that are named. So let's get into Essendon and Carlton. So players to watch in this game. So Sam Doherty, obviously, these are a lot of these guys will be targets. So Sam Doherty, great option coming off his bye, 862k. It's expensive for a defender, but he's guaranteed to be a top 6 defender and averaging 105.8 for the year. I don't really see that changing a great deal. So I see that continuing, maybe even push 107, 108 for the rest of the year. So I think it'd be great. Takes the majority of kick-ins as well, which is also an added bonus. If you can afford him, I'd definitely be bringing him in. I like it. People, if they'd say, who would you get, Sinclair or Doherty? If you can afford Doherty, I'd be going Doherty instead, because Doherty you just know is going to be that top defender or one of those top 2. Hewett or Doherty is a bit interesting because Hewett you could you could genuinely get, because they're not going to be that dissimilar, and he's playing midfield and he's about 50k cheaper. So that's a bit more. So I'd probably have like Hewett, Doherty, Sinclair in that order for those three. Zach Merritt, underpriced from what Merritt's done in the past. Maybe he's mainly really cheap due to that 51 that he got against Sydney in round 9 when he got that big hit early. So he got a couple of 90s as well. He only missed 3 weeks after that syndesmosis injury, and that normally is a 6 to 8 week recovery, and then you've got to work back to full fitness from that and strengthen the ankle. So that's normally could potentially be up to 10 weeks in terms of when you're back fully right. So he only came after 3 weeks. So considering he did that and he was still scoring 9s, that's pretty impressive. So 790k, one of my favourite targets to bring in, as you know, the poll at the moment. If you haven't voted on that, make sure you do. Merritt or Sinclair this week, it's what I'm looking at. I'm just interested to see what your thoughts are. But yeah, I don't know how I'm going in that one. That's just going to be interesting. So if you haven't voted, or actually if you have voted, just let me know in the chat who you went and why you went them, because I've just gone the poll, but I'm interested to see what your guys' thoughts are in terms of like a bit more detail. So now we've got 50-50, so 4 people gone Merritt, 4 people gone Sinclair. So if you have voted on it, just let me know what your reasoning would be for picking either or. Just interested to see what the discussion would be. But yeah, Merritt, good target, and definitely one of the top sort of couple of targets this week for most people. And then Caleb Marchbank. So with not a heap of rookies named, especially if Marchbank doesn't get named, then this could be a guy that you bring in, got added job security. I know it's a bit more expensive, but I think he can score decently enough tonight. I know it's meant to be a little bit wet, so he might not get that 80, 90 ceiling that he can hit. We've seen in the past he can do that, but first game back for over 1,000 days, you're not going to expect, obviously, miracles, but he could be very solid for you. And I'd almost rather grab him over Jacob Ware, even if you can still get your upgrade that you can get with getting Marchbank as well. I'd almost go down that route, because Jacob Ware could be dropped next week, and then you could be stuck with a guy that's getting you 0. Whereas Marchbank could help you next week and could actually play for a few. So that's what I'm actually looking at. So I'm still considering getting Marchbank over Jacob Ware, even if Ware plays. But that's just something that I'm looking at anyway. But yeah, should be in the team for if he stays fit, because he's best 22. Sam Walsh, another guy, 875. He's in that awkward price range where you could pay 30k more to get Josh Kelly, or you could also save 80k and get Zach Merritt. So I'd probably go and save the money to get Zach Merritt, or I'd pay up to get Josh Kelly. So that puts Sam Walsh in a bit of a weird spot. But if you want him, I think he's not a bad option. Paddy Cripps, I wouldn't be bringing him in, but hopefully he can play well coming off the bye. I think he needed that bye. It looked a little bit sore, so hopefully that bye would have done the world of good, and he'll come back with a full head of steam and hopefully get those 120s again. Hopefully, if not, we'll probably have to look at moving him on within the next couple of months before the end of the season. Jordan Boyd, 251k defender. I don't mind him. I'd probably still rather pay the money for Marchbank, because it's only 40k and you're getting a guy that's probably going to be in the team long time. Whereas Jordan Boyd, I don't see playing much more than maybe this week and maybe next week, but that'd be about it. Darcy Parish, expensive, but he's been very, very good this year, so you could consider bringing him in if you want to pay up and be a bit different, because a lot of people are obviously going Merritt. So if you want to be a bit different to the crowd, Darcy Parish isn't a bad option, but I still would save the 118k and bring in Zach Merritt. It's a lot of money. Like, that's different. 40k is not a big difference, but 118k is a lot. So obviously, I'd be definitely going Merritt there. Nick Martin, obviously been great. If you've held him, you're probably going to hold him for another couple of weeks. So he's been great, obviously, for the year. So yeah, I'd definitely be looking at keeping him for the next couple of weeks. George Hewett as another great target to bring in this week if you don't have him already. Averaging 103 for the year. He just keeps getting it done. I think his lowest disposal tally for the year in a game is 28. So he just literally gets the pill every game. So yeah, great option if you don't have him already. And then Ben Hobbs as well might get some extra midfield time after this reset round for all the teams. He might get some more CBA stuff. So just have a look for that in the future. So James said, want Merritt mainly because he's cheaper, a midfielder, and the last 2 of Sinclair's scores were against the Crows and Kangaroos. Yeah, that's actually a very good point. So he's like 2 high scores for the year against 2 of the easier opponents. So that's good. And the thing is, as well, as people said, like Merritt could average like the same as Sinclair, and you're getting him for cheaper. So that's definitely a good point. Thank James for that. And then Cameron, I'll get to your question as well once I've got through these games as well. But thank you for putting it in. Really do appreciate it. If you are watching live, make sure you leave your questions in the live chat. I'll get to them after. Also, like and subscribe and turn notifications on. So that will do all those 3 things and you'll be set. So Fremantle Hawthorn. if you've got Andrew Brayshaw, lock him in as captain. It's going to be a great score, I think, for him. Optus Stadium averaging 125 this year. Scores at the venue 181, 95, 110, 116, 134, 111, and 131 this year. So average of 125.4. He's been bananas at home, and he's got Hawthorn. Amazing matchup. If you've got the luxury of going him and Gawn, I'd go VC and then go Gawn captain. But if you can't, just go Gawn. Just go Brayshaw captain straight up, because Brayshaw will be very, very good tomorrow. Tom Mitchell been very impressive over the last 3 weeks. 120, 112, and 112. Season low, 39.1% CBA, so it was only 9 CBAs, but he still ended up scoring a 112 because he's playing this role like a Dunkley or a Bailey Smith, where, or Sam Walsh, like he's been doing at times, where they start full, but they push up as a fourth midfielder. So he's been stuck like deep forward, so he's been great. I wouldn't be bringing him in because he's got obviously the round 14 by next week. I'll be just targeting round 12 premiums. The only guy I'd really be looking at from next week, if you can't get anyone else, is like a Jackson Callows from Hawthorn, like 200 and something, like low 200s. You could bring him in as a rookie if you can't afford your premium through getting like a Jacob Ware or something. So that's something to look at. But yeah, Tomic's been great. Tough match against Freo, but hopefully he can do well again. Will Brodie, be interesting to see how he goes with Fife in the team again. I don't think it will change his role drastically. I think it's going to more affect like maybe a Mundy and guys like that, because Fife will probably play 50-50. It might be like a 40% midfield this week, 6% forward, or something, or 70-30 forward mid split. But yeah, just something to see, because Brodie has been great this year. But if he obviously scores poorly this week, I don't think he will. It's a great match against Hawthorn, but if he did, could potentially be a candidate to trade out next week if he gets you to a good premium. So just something to keep an eye on, but I think he'll be good this week. He's got Hawthorn, which is a good matchup. Sam Butler as well. Didn't score great last week, but it's another bum on the seat this week. So if you did bring him in last week, it's not a bad move because he is playing. So if he somehow gets like a 60 or a 65, he could actually knock out a guy like a Butters. So Butters already got 55. If you had him already, he could actually knock his score out depending. But if he doesn't, you're just sort of planning that he won't count anyway. Jackson Callows, I mentioned before as well, is a rookie that's come in for Hawthorn for his third game. He hasn't scored great. He only got like a 20 and a 40, but if you need the money, so 205K, he is a forward. 23 and 46. If you need someone and you can't afford like a Jacob Ware, then I guess you could go a Callow over those guys if you want to get that premium that you want. So that's just something to look at. Nat Fife as well, just sort of see if he gets like more. This is more for draft, but if he's on the scrap heap, or even if you want to trade him in your team, or if you want to acquire him for another team, because he could get forward status if he plays enough forward. So just something to keep an eye on over the next probably 4 or 5 weeks. I don't think he'll be eligible because you've got to play minimum 6 games. He'll play round 13, around 15, 16, 17. No, he'll miss out by 2 games, so he won't actually get it. So probably not actually much of a watch here. But anyway, James Sicily has been great this year. Freo, a bit of a tougher game. Something to watch. He hasn't been taking a lot of the kick-ins, I think, last week. So he only took 1. I think Bramble and Will Day took more. So just something to keep an eye on this week if he is given over that role to Will Day and Lockheed Bramble, with Lockheed Bramble being back now. So just something to keep an eye on. Sean Darcy, obviously, I just listened to Selby's Quickfire podcast that he does. And he was saying that apparently, because Sean Darcy does the segment with Xavier Ellis on WA radio, and he said he was sick last week. So that's a big reason why Meek played and why he only got the 40. So you can probably scrap that score out. I think he'd be great this week. Hawthorn, good matchup. And yeah. So I think I wouldn't be bringing him in, but if you've got him, I think he'll rebound strongly from last week. And if you've got Caleb Sarong, Hawthorn's a good matchup, so he should be pretty good this week. So let's get stuck into these teams on the Sunday, if they've been announced. So they have. So for North Melbourne, Aaron Hall and Jaden Stevenson come into the team. So Atu Basuna-Valagi has been dropped, Ben Mackay injured, and Taron Thomas has been dropped. So he hasn't been playing great, but Aaron Hall is back, so that's obviously good, but no Jackson Archer. So if you were looking for that 190K defender rookie, he's not playing. And then for GWS, Prusy is not named. So Adam Kennedy and Lockheed Whitfield come in. So Jared Brand has been dropped. Bobby Hewett out with illness, and Xavier Halloran out as a medi-sub. So Jacob Ware holds his spot. So that's interesting. So there you go. So everyone will be pretty happy that Jacob Ware held his spot. But bloody Bruce, why do these things keep happening to me? Bloody Taranto, I've had to bloody hold for the last 3. Well, I didn't have to hold, but I did hold, and then bloody Bailey Smith and now bloody Bruce, mate. I'm just going to have to. Bruce doesn't affect my trades. I'm just going to have to hold him and probably trade Bruce next week, if I'm being honest. Yeah. I know a few people got Bruce as well, so I'm not the only one in this predicament, but no one else had Taranto and Bailey Smith. So, Moon Boy, should I delete my team? Yeah. So the thing is, I literally could just trade Bruce over Taranto because Taranto is rumored to be back next week. That's something I could literally consider. And if Taranto's not back, I could just do that. That's something I might do. I might actually just get rid of Bruce because I'm sick of it. I'm not doing this anymore. I'd rather have Speaking on my ruck, which I got Speaking on bench anyway, so I can actually do this anyway. So that's something I'll be looking at. If I get rid of, I would rather get rid of Bruce over Taranto because at least Taranto come back should at least be a lot better than bloody Bruce. So yeah, so anyway, that's how the cookie crumbles. But yeah, Jacob Ware's name. So if you're looking at him, he could be a guy you bring in. That's the decision I'm going to make. It'll be Jacob Ware or Caleb Marchbank. So but I think I'd rather pocket the 43K. I think I probably still would go Ware just because his break even's -9. So he's got a low break even. Even if he only plays one more week, he should still be 310, 320. So he's still got enough money on his head that you can actually still get a bit of cash. So yeah, something to look at there. But yeah, Bruce not being named, if you just tune in, Bruce not named, and Jacob Ware has been named and staying in the team. So if you're looking at him, you can bring him in knowing he's playing. And then again, actually, if you're looking at this week, I think Jacob Ware could probably score more than Caleb Marchbank. Marchbank against Essendon, but it is meant to be a little bit wet, whereas Marvel under the roof for Jacob Ware against North should be a good matchup. And they've kept him in the team, so I think he should be all right against North. I think he could actually stay in the team for a couple of weeks. So even though I did say I'd probably rather Marchbank if you can get the premium, I'm now leaning towards that he got named, so I want the 43K plus the low break even. So that might be what I do. Anyway, so Brisbane and St Kilda on Saturday night. So Lachie Neale continues his great season. Tough game last week against Freo. Got a 104. Still got it done. And then he was quite critical and said that he could have played a lot better. He didn't like his contested work and stuff like that. So I think he'll be big this week. Saints are a tough team to score on. Could cop some attention for like a Mitch Owens, which he went to Simpkin the game before the bye. I just think he'll be fine. Averages 109.3 at the Gabba in his career 34 games. And this year at the venue, 118, 86 when he was injured and tagged, 119, 113, 143 for 115.8 average. So he's been great. So hang on a second. Why has my computer gone flat? I charged it before I went up here. Did that just not charge? Hang on. I've got to get my charger. Hang on. I literally thought I charged it. Hang on. Give me 2 seconds. Oh. Bloody chair. Come on. Oh, seriously. Sorry about that. And it's still not charged. It says, what's it saying here? Power adapter battery's not charging. I don't understand. I really don't understand. Oh, well, we'll see how we go. Anyway, so actually, let's have a look at how the poll's going. Just while I've had a bit of a break in proceedings here. 16 votes. So you got Merritt 69%, Sinclair 31%. There you go. So a lot of people are going Merritt. There you go. Fair enough. Because then again, people like Merritt probably could average 110, 115 from here if everything goes to plan, obviously. So, and then what Darcy Parish was saying last night on the podcast about Merritt will be back in the second half of the year. So that's good. So there you go. If you haven't voted on it, make sure you vote on the poll, Merritt or Sinclair. Just interested to see your thoughts as well. And also put your questions in, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. You guys know the drill. All the help's much appreciated. Actually, with Nathan subscribing, what are you up to? Are we 447 or is someone else? No, 4477 subscribed yet. 3 more away from 450. So if you can help me out with that, that'd be very much appreciated. And then we're obviously going to be close to 500. So there you go. And then for that elusive goal of 1,000, that's what I want. But there you go. Jack Sinclair. So, hang on. Was I finished with Neil? I did say about his average. I said what he scored this year. Good VC option. That's what I was going to say. Good VC option for. That's what I'm going at the moment. VC into Gorn. But yeah, Jack Sinclair, tempting option coming off his bye, has been very good this year, averaging 102, averaging 118 his last 3. Obviously, 2 easy games against Crows and North Melbourne obviously do help that average over that period, but only has 2 scores under 90 all year, being an 80 and an 84. And that was against Port Adelaide in the wet essentially at Casadia Stadium, and then against Geo West in Canberra. So 2 sort of weird grounds to score at. So that is something to remember as well. But he's just been super consistent this year, and a nice pot option to, like, if you're looking at him or George Hewett. If you want to go Sinclair, it's a bit of a pot option. I think you just need Hewett though, but that's just something to potentially think about as well. But yeah, Sinclair, great option to bring in. And then Mitch Owens, number 1 player, traded in this week, and for a very good reason as well. -8 break even, scored 95 for the bye, had 10 tackles, kicked a couple of goals. He looked good. And yeah, if you haven't got him, I'd 100% be looking at bringing him in this week if you don't already own him. Couple other players here. Dane Zorko, hopefully he can just score well for you before the bye. Is this still... Okay, no, but it says here, battery's not charging, but it's been going up. And I don't understand what is happening with my computer. I really don't. Jay Gresham, I don't think he's an option personally. I think, especially with Jack still back in a couple of weeks, would be jumping on him. But if you can't afford anyone over 700, I think you could do a lot worse than Jay Gresham. So if you can't afford someone, you could, but I would prefer other options if you can get up to someone. And then Kadeen Coleman as well. If you've still got him, obviously you can move him on next week. So he hasn't been great besides that 98 against Hawthorn. He's gotten like his 60s and stuff, but he hasn't been sort of that 70, 75 guy that probably what you would have been hoping for bringing him in. So he's been a little bit underwhelming. North Melbourne GOS at Marvel Stadium. So Lockheed Whitfield. Okay, so I've obviously held Lockheed Whitfield this time because I've had injuries. But if you are looking at a risky option and an option that you could get him a week before everyone else, I don't mind Whitfield as an option this week, bringing him in. So he's 741k. He's back this week. Obviously, we don't know what role he's going to play. I think he was named in the initial team on a half-forward flank. I don't know if that would have changed with the final teams. Let's have a look. He's probably still on a half-forward flank. Yeah, still on a half-forward flank. But then again, Cornelio is, and they've already said Cornelio's playing midfield. So just something to see there. But yeah, if he returns to his normal role, I think he could potentially push those top 6 defenders. He's cheap. It's a name if you can't afford those guys around the 800 mark, like the Hewett, the Sinclair, the Doherty, guys like that. So I don't hate the idea of bringing Whitfield in. Personally, I'd still prefer to wait a week on him. I'd wait a week and see what his role is. But good matching against North this week. I think even if he did play forward, worst case scenario, then he could still score quite well. But obviously, you want to see him for a week first. So I'd want to watch him for a week first, but if you can't afford anyone and you can only get up to 740 something, then I don't think Whitfield's a terrible option to consider. Stephen Cornelio, though, if you do not have him, I'd be targeting him big time. I think he's a great underpriced option. He's only 704k playing midfield. Mark McVeigh said that they've pretty much settled him in there now, and that's going to be his role. If he's playing midfield, I think he can average 100 to 105 the rest of the year, and that'd be definitely in the mix, if not in the top 6 forwards. So yeah, definite option. He's cheap, and yeah, jump on board. Aaron Hall. So yeah, this is more of a watch post for post buy, but priced 818, break even at 158. He'll be under 800k once he's had his buy. Could be a good guy to finish off your defense if you don't have the coin to get up to those top guys. And we know Aaron Hall's an amazing scorer in this role. Obviously, just the question is his health. Can he stay healthy for the rest of the year? So, yeah, just something to keep an eye on and see how he goes this week. Probably like a more of a 2 or 3 watch. Probably look at a target in like round 16 or 17. But just, yeah, something to keep an eye on over the next few weeks. So, James Peatling, under 450. I think he's 448. So if people literally just trying to do a sideways swap to a Deconing, from a Deconing or McCartan, then I don't hate the idea, but I don't think his scoring will be consistent enough to be a option that will get you up. I think he reminds me a bit like a Caneen Coleman, where he could have some of those 50s and 40s and stuff, but he could also give you some better scores. But yeah, I'd probably prefer other options. But if you don't have any money, then I guess beggars can't be choosing. You might have to pick someone around there. He's probably the pick of the guys under 500k. Harry Perryman playing in this midfield role. Is this midfield role going to continue? That's obviously one thing to keep an eye on. I'm not sure it will. I think when you have like Hopper back in a couple of weeks, Taranto back hopefully next week, then he's probably going to go back to a wing or even a half-back role. So something to keep an eye on. I wouldn't be bringing him in, but if you've got him, hopefully he can be good for you. He's been consistent all year anyway, even playing on the wing and off half-back. So he's been good. Jed Anderson was a bit disappointing this last week after getting his 149 the week before. You'd probably look now, if he has another sort of poor score this week, you probably move him on next week, even if it was only 2 weeks, but you still probably got a little bit of money from him and a guy that was playing in the 2 weeks. Wasn't a bad move, but if he scores well, then you can probably hold on to him for a couple of weeks. But yeah, just something to keep an eye with him this week. Josh Kelly, good captain option this week if you're bringing him in or if you've already got him. He should be big. 152 against North Melbourne last year. I think Calvin said 9 games at Marvel. He scored 900s in a row, so he's been great there. So venue, tick. Opposition, tick. Captain option, tick. So if you've got him, great captain option. Brandon Bruce, but obviously he's not playing now, so you can cross him off. And then Jacob Ware as well. Obviously got names. He's a good option to bring in this week now. 255k, -9 break even. So jump on board if you haven't brought him in already. So let's get into this final game as well. Collingwood, Melbourne, and then we'll answer the questions. And apologies for me being quiet. I've been told to be quiet because sister's working from home. So can't be too loud, but there you go. Collingwood and Melbourne on the Queen's birthday game. So Darcy Cameron has been way more impressive than what I think any of us could have predicted. 133 last week, including a 52-point opening quarter, if you don't mind. So he's probably played that well that even when Grundy comes back, I think he could arguably have 35 to 45% of the ruck. And it could be almost not a 50-50 split because it's probably going to be still 60-40, but it could be 60-40 when Grundy comes back because Cameron's just looked too good. And could he still continue scoring well even around the ground? Because he's been getting up the ground. He hasn't been playing like deep forward. So he's been very good. So he's definitely a hold and could even be a hold for a little bit after Grundy. And depending on how he goes with Grundy, could even be a season-long keeper. The way he's scored. I don't think he'll be a season-long keeper, but just something to sort of watch over the next month or so, and then when Grundy comes back. Christian Salem, so a little bit similar to Aaron Hall, bit of a watch post buy, but solid last week for a 94. Slowed a bit late because he was on 50 points pretty quickly, I think midway through the second quarter. But now he's 674. It's quite cheap. He'll be cheaper than that after this week. So he could be like 650. So that's really cheap for a guy that could average 90 plus on the way home. So that's just something to keep an eye on with him there. And then Max Gawn as well. Good captain option, fullback captain option. Sorry, but not even just a good fullback. It's just a good captain option. In the final game of the round, looked amazing. Looked amazing against Sydney with a 149. Collingwood, Grundy out been giving up points to Ruckman. So I think Gawn will be big this week. Melbourne have lost back-to-back games, first time in for a long time. And they're going to want to bounce back. And I think Gawn's going to come out and put up a big performance. So, I think he'll be huge. So if your VC doesn't get you what you want, I think he's a great option in the final game. Other players to watch, Chris Petrarca is a bit of a pod captain option over Gawn. He hasn't been great this year. Not this year. He's been great last couple of weeks. Obviously, he was sick. Then he only got the 89 against Sydney. But good matchup against Collingwood this week. Should be good. It's just risky because we haven't seen anything for the last couple of weeks from him to be a captain option. So you'd be certainly taking a bit of a, not taking a risk because he's still a premium, but you'd be taking a bit of a punt on him when we haven't seen anything for the last couple of weeks, but could pay off because he could be big. So something to look at there. Jack Crisp being consistent as any. So that's now 10 games in a row. I think 10 games now of at least 99 points. So he's just only getting, the last 4 he's only got those base hundreds, like the 100, 102, 103, 104, but he just keeps getting it done. So that's all we can ask for. So he's been great. Jordan Degoey was solid last week. I think, what did he get? Did he get 89 or something, or a 91? Let me just quickly search it up here. Jordan Degoey had a 87. So, yeah. Post-buy could potentially be a guy, if you can't afford anyone, could be a guy you could jump on 645k, especially if you're trying to finish off your team post-buy. If you've had carnage like myself, I'm hopefully going to complete my team next week. But if you haven't completed your team before the buys, could be a guy you consider post-buy as that final upgrade. Someone to watch this week. Angus Brayshaw has been solid this year, so good match against Collingwood this week. So hopefully he'll be good for you again if you've got him. Clayton Oliver as well. Same with Petrarca. I think I'd rather have Oliver captain over Petrarca. I think Oliver could be big this week against Collingwood. I think Oliver will be bigger than Petrarca this week. So if you want to go Oliver over Gawn, I think that could be a nice differential captain option because a lot of people will be going Gawn. So yeah, Oliver should be good as well. And then Nick Dacos as well. 100 last week. If he gets another 100 this week, do you get rid of him in his buy? Because it's back-to-back hundreds. So I'd rather get rid of Butters, to be honest, if Dacos got 100 again, because why would you get rid of a guy that's got back-to-back hundreds and keep a guy that got a 55? So, yeah, that could be something that could be an option next week. So let's get stuck into these questions then, and then I'll let you know my trades. Then that'll be it for today. But so the votes so far, 19 votes. We've got Merritt 74%, and then Sinclair 26%. So a lot of people going Merritt. So yeah, there you go. So they are both good options, I think. So there you go. So why can't I go? Oh, because the poll's in the way. That's right. But I've already read at the Moon Boy and James thing there. So anyway, so what have we got here? So Cameron. So also, if you are watching live as well, make sure you get questions in. I'll be answering all them now. And as I said, also leave a like on the video if you haven't. We've got 6 likes so far, 17 watching, 11 people watching. You know what to do. It takes 2 seconds. Really appreciate the support. Thank you very much for that. And also subscribe if you haven't already. So Cameron says, can do a double upgrade to Walsh and Sinclair with Heaney and Dacos out, but it means I'll be playing 17 this week or aim for 18 this week and do 2 down, 1 up. Then it will probably be Walsh. I would still personally go for the 2 rookies down and 1 up and to get that extra playing this week. So I could do the same. I've got 21. No, sorry, I got 20 this week with Bruce being out. I was going to be in a really good situation if Bruce was named having the 21, but now with Bruce, I got 20. So I'd much rather I could get rid of Dacos and have 19, but I'd much rather be having that extra number this week. Dacos could get 100 this week, and he could knock out a bad score for you. So I would be keeping Dacos. I'd be getting rid of Heaney, and I'd be bringing Walsh or Sinclair. I'd probably still go Sinclair because I think he's going to be a top 6 defender. So the only reason I'd probably go Merritt over Sinclair is because Merritt's cheaper and he's a fair bit cheaper than Walsh. But Walsh is a great option, don't get me wrong. But I would probably go Sinclair there out of the 2. I'd probably go Sinclair, bank that 60k cash that you get by getting Sinclair over Walsh, and then you can probably get a better premium next week. Instead of getting a Petrarca, you could maybe get a Toot Miller or a Rory Laird or something instead. So that could be something if you're looking at that, which will not Petrarca is on buy, but you know what I mean. Someone around the 830, 840 could get a 900k plus midfielder. So I'd definitely be going just the 1 premium this week, keeping Dacos, and I'll probably go Sinclair. But if you want Walsh instead, I do like Walsh still, so you could get Walsh instead. Adam Puffdywalla says, hey, Bales, trades Deconing to Clark. So you obviously did that last night. Stevens to Turner and Clark to Merritt. Thoughts? I like those moves because you're getting rid of 3 rookies and bringing in a premium. I'm not sure about this Daniel Turner guy. I don't see him being a big scorer or staying in the team. Obviously, Melbourne, tough team to get into. I don't see him staying in the team long term. So if you can get a Callows instead, I'd rather a Callows. I think Callows can actually hold his spot for at least a week more or 2. But if you need that 15k, I guess, then you might have to go a Turner. But yeah, that's something to look at as well. If you can get rid of someone else instead of Stevens, like maybe McCartan or whatever, but yeah, just something to keep in there. But I don't mind them if that's all you can do to get to Merritt. So I don't mind that. Moonboy Bruce is killing me. Yeah, Bruce, bloody Bruce. I knew this at the start of the year. That's why I started with Grundy and Gawn. So the 1 year that the first time 3-4 years I actually do go set and forget is the year that the set and forget doesn't work because Grundy gets injured and then all these guys bloody stuff me around. I think, what did Matt say on the Hat Chat podcast the other day? I think he said he started with Speakino and he started with Speakino and Bruce. I think he started with Speakino and Bruce, so would have probably taken a goal at Hayes' score round 1. So that was obviously a very good play because English has been great and yeah, Bruce was good for a bit, but obviously he would have jumped on it from a while ago because he's actually a good coach, and I'm not a good coach. So, anyway, so Shannon Barron says, I chose to save money this round and brought in a temporary player, so Dusty, yep, and I may have ruined my team. He started in the midfield and kicked 2 goals. WTF, FMDT. Yeah, I can definitely feel that. I've definitely done moves like that in the past. Dusty wasn't actually that bad a name if you couldn't get up to anyone else. He was only 643k. You would have expected more from him. And yeah, so unfortunately, you can move. You wouldn't have ruined your team because you just got one bad play, and he could even get knocked off if you've got 19 or 20 this week. But yeah, not great. Nathan said English and Bruce. Yeah. I thought that that Matt jumped on that. So yeah, very very smart move at the start. I certainly wouldn't. I wasn't brave enough to do that. I was just that sort of petrified of the set and forget rucks and stuff around rucks all year. But it turns out the one year that I did go set and forget was the year that I should have gone the cheaper rucks. But anyway, what do we got here? Moon Boy. So Jacob West should go all right against the Roos. Yep, I think he will. I think he'd be good. He should score well and make money in the process and saves you a decent chunk. And I think he's the guy that you move to if you have already got a Mitch Owens. I think he's the second target you should be looking at. Shannon Barron said, I've VC'd Kelly because of the weather. Pissing down in Perth and freezing in the east. Well, Josh, if you're talking about Josh Kelly, Josh Kelly's actually playing under the roof at Marvel, so the weather won't be too much an issue there. So, but yeah, you VC Kelly, go captain on. Oh no, hang on, you're probably talking about you VC Kelly over Brayshaw, and then you're going on captain. Yeah, that's fair enough. Being a bit different, but I would probably go VC Brayshaw into Josh Kelly if you've got both those. That's probably what I would do. So, yeah, that's what I'll do. So, what have we got here? James has said, I would trade Bruce, but not really any good trade targets for ruck forwards this week. We'll have 18 playing this week, so we'll trade next week. Yeah, it's a good call. Yeah, I've considered doing that, but I've got the flexibility. I can actually move Bruce to a preem this week, which I'm tempted to move him on instead of Taranto, because at least Taranto might actually be back next week, whereas we don't know when Bruce is coming back. So, and I've got English and Cameron, so just time to abort ship. I can always get rid of Taranto next week if I really want to keep holding him, but I'd rather who would I rather next week, Taranto or Bruce? I'd rather Taranto because Taranto's probably going to be a top 6 forward if he comes back, whereas Bruce won't be. So it's just me holding all these guys. Next year I just got to, if they're missing more than 1 week, I just have to stick by the stance. They miss more than 1 week, I trade, and then that's it, instead of holding these guys for an extra couple of weeks to be a bit smart, which is obviously backfired this year. But and then I have that unused as well, like obviously Buddy Smith being ill, and then Heaney being so bad. So that, as I said, that 3-week patch of bringing in Heaney, Taranto, Bailey Smith from rounds 4 to 6, that ruined my season. That's ruined my season. But yeah, so I don't mind holding Bruce to next week and then trading him. Shane 083 says, I'm thinking Walsh over Merritt. Thoughts, mate? I would be going Merritt over Walsh. I think saving the 83, 85k you get from Merritt. I think Merritt can be just as good as Walsh. If not, he's got a high ceiling. I think Walsh's ceiling's capped at like 125. I don't see him going much more than that with only 40% CBAs. If he gets more midfield time, however, Walsh could have a bigger ceiling. So we know how good Walsh is. But with Walsh playing, so this starts forward, plays the fourth midfielder, hasn't got the same ceiling, I'd be going Merritt. I think they're going to be pretty similar on the run home. And you save the money, and that could get you a better premium next week. But if you want Walsh over Merritt, you can go him, but I would still be picking Merritt there. Moon Boy, Proust English next week then. Yeah, I'll do like that trade. That'll be a pretty popular trade. Shano83 says we'll use Dacos to get up to Sinclair next week. Yeah, that's a good call. That could be something I could do. I could get Merritt this week, Sinclair next week. I think Sinclair's break even 70 odd though, so that could be where if he got a 120, he could be quite expensive and out of my reach next week if I want it. Because Laird's 100% coming in. I've said that for weeks now. Laird is my round 14 player and bringing in no matter what. I'll keep Dacos and get rid of Will Brodie if I have to do that. That's what I'm want to get Laird in with this run coming home as well. And the fact I love Laird. I got the man crush is real with Laird. So yeah, got to bring him in. Moon Boy Gorn will have a point to prove after all the news this week. That 100%. I definitely agree with that. I think he could be huge. Could tick over 150. I know DC said on the podcast he didn't get his Didn't get Nathan, if you're still watching, I can't remember what the award you guys put on the podcast for the Hat Chat podcast is, but I know DC didn't give him the award because he got 149. He said 150 is minimum for a guy. So I can't actually remember. Pig Brody, that's the one. Yeah, thanks, Nathan. Yeah, Pig Brody Award. Yeah. But he could love DC. But yeah, so yeah, Gorn will be big this week. He could get that 150. So there you go. So my trades this week. So if you've got any more questions, put them in the live chat as well, and I'll get to answering them. Poll, any more votes? 20 votes, 75% Merritt, 25% Sinclair. So there you go. People are on the Merritt train, and I definitely can understand that. So my trades at this moment in time, I'm going Greg Clark down to Jacob Ware. I'm going either Tim Taranto or Braden Pruce. I'm still not sold on who I'm going. I think I'd rather have bought the Pruce thing because at least Taranto, if he's not back next week, I can trade him next week to Laird instead. And Pruce and Taranto are both not playing. Pruce is not going to be a late in and he's not going to be a sub. So I'd probably be going Pruce out to Merritt or Sinclair. I don't know. As I said, Merritt people are pretty much on. Merritt does save me 40k, so that could be important to get Laird next week. That could guarantee me getting Laird, so that's something I've got to look at. And then I'm going Bailey Smith. Thanks, Baz, for that headbutt you did. And I'm bringing in the Doc, Sam Doherty, top 6 defender, 100%. I'd rather Doherty over Sinclair. That's why I'm going Doherty. I've got the 50k spare. I could save the 50k and go Sinclair to get, again, could guarantee me Laird next week, but I just think Doherty is the guy. So I'm bringing Doherty in. And he should be good tonight. They're my current trades, which is what I'm doing as well. So, if there's no other questions or anything, I think that's probably where we'll finish off. A bit of a shorter one today, under 50 minutes. We haven't done an under 50-minute one for a while. So, poll done. End the poll now. 20 votes. People in favour of Merritt. So, there you go. And I'm probably looking at going Merritt as well. But, I'll probably decide that as well. But so anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in as well. Really do appreciate everyone tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I did shout Nathan out before for subscribers. Thanks, Nathan, again. Appreciate you tuning in as well, Nathan, from Hat Chat. Make sure you go check out Hat Chat live on Wednesday nights on the Twitter Spaces, and then also check out their podcast. I think it comes out every Tuesday from memory. So go check those out. And might have to get Nathan on the weekend forecast or the weekend report at some point as well, or a couple of more special guests coming hopefully our way for the season. But so here we go. So Shano 83 says Cripper decent VC shit if I don't get Walsh in. I'm not sure about putting Shano. Sorry, I'm not putting Shano captain. Shano, you can put yourself captain if you want. Cripper. I don't think I put Cripper VC. You could, if your gut is telling you that Cripper's going to go big, go ahead because you got Gorn on the last game anyway. Or if you've got a Kelly or a Brayshaw, it's fine. You can take a risk with your VC. Like I'm going a bit safe with Neil, but Cripper's a guy that could go big tonight. So. Yeah, if you want to back him in, you could. I personally think there are better options, but if you're backing him in, go him, Nathan. So long as DC isn't invited. I've never done a podcast yet where I've had multiple more than 2 people doing it. So I don't even know how that would actually work. But Nathan, if you don't want DC on, then we could just get you on. Just you, mate. So James H says I'm going Sam DeConing, Connor McDonald, and Greg Clark to Judson Clark, Jacob Ware and Zach Merritt. Yep, tick them off. Love them. Judson Clark obviously played well last night. He's probably going to hold his spot. Jacob Ware, great target. If you obviously, I'm assuming you've already got Mitch Owens, James, and then Zach Merritt as well. Great option to bring in as well. And then Moon Boy, on you, mate. Good luck this weekend. We'll watch your updates on Twitter. Yeah, hopefully they're good updates because normally it's me complaining, whatever. I want to get that thing up. What I said about Taranto. So my season with Tim Taranto is quite an interesting one, to say the least. So here we go. So my season with Tim Taranto, right? So I own him from rounds 1 to 4, 128, 104, 126, 107. That's when I didn't own him, right? Brought him in round 5 when Cripper went down. I went different. Everyone was going to like a better premium. I thought Taranto, Toby Green coming back, mid-forward. He'll stay over 900k because he's going to be consistent over 100. I thought he had that role and that midfield role since round 5. 92, 65, 94, 89, 91. Did not play. Buy, out again. Worst trade of the season. Has to be. Someone name a worse trade than that. You get a guy that was priced at 939k. He's now 780. He's now 784. He's down what's that? 155k for the year. And he's now missed 4 weeks in a row now. And I thought he was going to be back for his bye, but yeah. Nathan, over Connor Butterick is a worse trade. Actually, that's a good point. Then again, probably not, because bloody DC only paid what would have been like 400 and something K for Butterick when he brought him in. Actually, what was Butterick's price? What's it been? So he's 495 now. So Butterick. Oh, then again, he probably brought him on the back of. I think. Oh, that's right. I think DC brought him on the back of that 101 against Sydney. And then he got the 81, then he got the 41, then the 45, then 84. So, yeah, actually with the 40s, it could definitely qualify as a other thing. Might even put a poll up on Twitter, see who thinks it's a worse trade of that. But Nathan, I didn't get the 80 as well. Oh, okay, so got the couple of 40s. Okay, just the 2 40s. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's probably worse. The 2 40s back to back. Yeah, that's not great, is it? I remember I did actually look at Butterick as an option after he's at 180. No, the 100 and then the 80. I didn't go for him like DC did, but yeah, I chose. I don't even know who I chose. Actually, what round was that? That was round 9. Can't remember who I brought in round 9. But yeah, probably wasn't as bad as Butterick. But yeah, Shane, good stream, mate. Cheers for your thoughts and good luck in this tough bye. But yes, good luck to you, Shane, as well. I'm hoping I'll be okay with having the 20 this week. Hopefully I can make some great. I need to get back inside the top 5,000. I was inside the top 5,000 and I've just fallen in like 3 weeks in a row. So I need to get back up. So hasn't been a great year for me. And then James said, yep, got Owens. Yep. And then the final thing, Shane, Butterick is one worst trade I've seen by podcast in a few years. God. Talk about kicking a man while he's down with DC. I think he's getting rid of Butterick this week, so he'll be getting off that train. But yeah, so anyway, thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. And I'll see everyone. As we know, I go live Fridays, 4 p.m. Australian Central Standard Time. So make sure you tune to the next weekend forecast, and I'll be live as well on Sunday. I'm not sure yet if I'll be live straight after the North Melbourne GOS game at 5:30 my time, Australian Central Standard Time, or if I'll be live later that night at 9 o'clock. Or 9:30. I've got a dinner, so I'm not sure if I'll have. Hopefully, I'll get time to record before, because we're only going to have a few games to talk about, and we only have a few things to talk about. So I might go live before, but keep an eye on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter as well if you haven't already. I'll post my updates on there, and I'll let you guys know when I'll be going live then. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Good luck this week in the tough buy round, and I'll see you guys on Sunday afternoon. I'm out. Cheers.